We are live.
All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Joy Antone, and I am the sixth grade assistant principal at Howard Middle School. And on behalf of our principal, Dr. Kevin Maxwell, I welcome you to David T. Howard's Rising Grounds Parent Meeting. The purpose of today's meeting is to provide a review of the curriculum in each core content area, as well as some of our connections courses. So you will get the opportunity to hear from several of our teachers as they share what this looks like for your child next year. I know that this has been a very challenging year for many, our students, our teachers, and for parents. However, despite the challenges we have faced, we have definitely grown professionally in the use of many skills, especially in the area of technology and the use of various strategies to enhance learning for all of our students. And we will definitely implement some of those skills we've learned as we move into the next year, as many of our students may have the virtual options during the 2022 school year. And so I know that everyone's ready to get into the building next year. And our superintendent, Dr. Lisa Herring, has shared that we will be back in the classroom 5 days a week next year. And next year, we can also expect to operate and look a little bit more like we did before the pandemic. So we definitely look forward to getting back to somewhat regular routines. Now, at this time, I do want to thank you for joining us today. And I will turn it back over to our fabulous sixth grade counselor, Miss Chelsea Schultz. And also at the same time, I want to thank our marvelous teachers who are on here today, who will be sharing with you as they do a great job adjusting to this virtual setting this year. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for joining, Ms. Schultz.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I am Chelsea Schultz. I am the sixth grade counselor at Howard Middle School. Today, you are going to be hearing from our teachers from our different content areas, so math, language arts, science, and social studies. And we are also joined by our fabulous connections team. So you'll be learning more about our connections offerings as well, because I know that that is something a lot of families have a lot of questions about and want to learn more about. You guys are welcome to ask questions in the chat. We are live on YouTube, or we will have a Q&A at the end. So there are 2 opportunities to have your questions asked. Thank you all for being here, and I'm going to pass it over to our wonderful Dean of Student Support, Ms. Ann Head.
Good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to celebrating the new school year, the 2021-22 school year with you all in the fall. Welcome to Howard Middle School.
Awesome. So we are going to start off by introducing our sixth grade English Language Arts department. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. Yep, thank you.
Good morning, parents, and welcome, and thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Ms. Miller, and I am from Team 6-3.
Good morning. I am Miss Lanza. I am the English teacher for 6-4.
Hello, I'm Dr. Mitchell, and I'm the English teacher for 6-2.
And I'm Jody Stern. I'm the special education teacher, co-teaching language arts and a small group language arts class.
Good morning. I'm Ms. Hurt, 6-1.
All right, and that is our ELA team. So I will get started. So our framework of instruction is guided by the Georgia Standards of Excellence. We have 4 units of study. Unit 1, we will be introducing narrative writing to the students. In that particular unit, we will have a book project as well. And our online reading book is Amplify. We will also introduce short stories as well. For our Unit 2, we will have another book project that's introduced by students in which they select a book of their choice based on their Lexile scores. And also that type of writing that we will introduce will be compare and contrast. For Unit 3, there will be another book project. And in that unit, we will focus on novel studies and also lit circles. And in our very last unit, Unit 4, in Unit 4, we would look at argumentative writing, and we will also look at a variety of genres. In addition to these units, we also talk about poetry and figurative language, which are embedded in our lessons. Short stories and our basic framework will be plot elements. The plot elements will be utilized as students complete 4 book projects during the year. We will also look at character development, theme, a variety of genres, nonfiction articles, and vocabulary acquisition. So that is our introduction for our standards of excellence and our framework for our level of instruction.
And then, like Ms. Miller mentioned, they will be reading quarterly. I was like, I don't know anything about the math. Okay. They will be reading quarterly book projects. So they will take a STAR test. I think it's 3 times throughout the year where they will receive their Lexile and their grade level. And they will be reading an independent novel at home. And then at the end of every 9 weeks, so it will be 4 in total. At the end of every 9 weeks, they will be presenting a project. They could be commercials, they could be brochures, they could be a costume designer for a character in their novel. So really pushing that fictional outside reading. And then in addition, at their last book project, we encourage a nonfiction piece.
Additionally, we'll be reading classroom novels, and we'll have 3 types of novel studies. The first novel study is The Outsiders. The second is The Diary of Anne Frank, or Number of the Stars, depending on Lexile. And the third novel study is an array of literature circles, a choice of 7 to choose from diverse perspectives, genres, and themes.
And then we do have online resources. So last year we
Sorry, I was on
started.
mute.
Okay,
So sorry.
go ahead, Ms.
I was
Hurt.
muted. I was actually talking though. We've always used online resources, but this year has really forced us to hone our skills. And we have used a multitude of resources, some of which we will continue to use next year, including IXL, which is reinforcement based on standards that we assign students, typically as homework, to help reinforce what we've done in class. And Amplify is our new book adoption that we just started this year that is completely online, the focus on reading and writing. We also use ReadWorks, Newsela, as resources for reading reinforcement. And the great thing about them is that students are able to self-assess because they get immediate feedback. They're able to revisit specific reading skills. And they are assigned based on the themes that we're working on, and they help to complement and support anything that we may be doing with fiction reading in our novels and selections that we have in our anthology.
And that completes the ELA portion.
Welcome to 6th grade math. My name is Jenny Damiani.
I'm Courtney Jost. I'm the math teacher on Team 6-2.
My name is Charlotte Smith. I'm on Team 6-3.
My name is Miss Jimenez. I'm the special education interrelated special education teacher.
And Miss Jackson is our other math teacher.
Thank you. All right, so this slide here outlines sixth grade math. This is our course outline. We began the year with Unit 1, Number System Fluency. It's kind of a review coming into middle school, and then it expands on all the operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and then we add decimals into Unit 1. Unit 2 is where we introduce ratio rates and unit rates, and the students begin to understand proportional relationships. Unit 3 is the introduction of algebra, where we begin with expressions. Students learn how to create expressions, what is a variable. Then we move into Unit 4, one-step equations and inequalities. Unit 5 is a big unit for sixth graders. It goes into the geometry. We work with 2-dimensional figures and 3-dimensional figures with area and volume. And then Unit 6 is their first introduction into statistics. And then we end the year with Unit 7, rational explorations, numbers, and their opposites.
All right, so some significant prerequisite knowledge. If there's anything that you take away from us today, we want you to make sure that you understand that math builds on itself. And we want our students to have the strongest foundation coming in that they can possibly have. And the main thing that we would love for all of our students to have is fluency in their multiplication and division facts. So that means not only knowing that 6 times 8 is 48, but also just as quickly knowing the opposite, 48 divided by 6 is 8. So if students have mastered their multiplication and division facts, sixth grade math is going to be so much easier for them. Things are going to come much more naturally. So we would love if over the summer you would start quizzing those multiplication facts from 1 times 1 up to 12 times 12. Another thing that is ideal is students coming in with a general understanding of operations with fractions. So adding, subtracting, and multiplying fractions. They actually will not learn dividing fractions until 6th grade. But just understanding what a fraction is. If you're baking some cookies, asking them how many 1/4 cups would fit in this 1/2 cup. Just simple understanding of what a fraction is and how fractions work in real life. And that's it. If they come into 6th grade knowing those things, they're going to be good to go. Thanks.
And the next part applies to all classes, Infinite Campus and Google Classroom. Infinite Campus is where we're going to post all of our grades regularly. And so that's where you can always check for the most accurate grades. Google Classroom, we do put grades on there sometimes, but you cannot refer to that for their main grades because a lot of times students can check things off and say that they've completed something, even if they have not. For example, I had study guides due last week and I had about 5 that had turned it in, submitted it, but it was not complete. So I've a lot of parents that will say, well, it says they turned it in on Google Classroom. So just know that that is kind of a checklist for the students. They can go in and just say they did something there. Infinite Campus is definitely going to be where you're going to go to check for attendance, check for grades, check for missing work, and then their current grade as well.
All right, and hello everybody, I am Miss Jackson. So the last thing the math team wants to talk to you about is the required supplies for math class. We really urge them to have a math notebook and a pencil. The kids like to just write things on scratch sheets of paper here and there, but it's really important that they're putting everything in one space. Every single one of us gives notes at least once a week. We like to give them examples that show them how to solve the problem. So it's really helpful if they're able to refer back to those notes as they're studying or completing homework, or if you kind of want to check out what they're doing in class. It's really helpful to make sure that they have that math notebook. And a lot of my kids have told me that by the time they get to the second semester, they actually need another notebook because they've taken so many notes throughout the year. So probably 2 math notebooks would be ideal, and pencils to make sure that they're able to take down those notes and examples. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, good morning. I am Spence Ford. I'm Team 6-1.
And my name is Io Coker, and I am the science teacher for Team 6-2.
Good morning, I am Melissa Hatcher, and I am the science teacher for 6-3.
And unfortunately, Mr. Brooks is not going to be with us today, but he just did want to say that he was sorry. There's some things going on, but he is looking forward to seeing all of your kids next year as well. And he is the teacher on 6-4. Okay, we can go to the, next slide. So just basic supplies, kind of in general, I think this may be common for across the grade level. But of course, their laptop, notebooks, we try to do a lot. We're going to do a lot online, of course, with laptops, but there is a lot of research, neurological research that says that working, actually writing things down, working with utensils, working with some of the lab equipment itself is very good for learning. So we will do that from time to time. So it is important that even though we're working with the laptop, that they do have a notebook, they have writing utensils, color pencils, markers, just random kind of things. We'll have some of those in the classroom too, but it's always good when students have their own. Okay, next slide. So I thought what I would do, just give you an idea on each one of these slides, the general topics, and I'm not going to read through those, but I can kind of tell you maybe something cool that we do with each one. And then I'll let the other science teachers, if they want to jump in at the end, come in and kind of talk about anything that I might have missed. But with astronomy, which is typically the kids' favorite unit, this is one where we just look at everything space related. And we do a really cool experiment here where it's kind of inspired by what NASA has done. They have a lot of this stuff on their website, that they create a NASA travel poster in which they kind of create this advertisement to go to another planet. And so they can create it, on poster board, or they can do it digitally. We have a computer specialist come in and kind of teach them how to do that. We've also worked with Miss Lebo in the art department to kind of work to create this, and the kids really have a good time with that. Okay, next slide. So then we have our meteorology and hydrology unit. One of probably, I would say, the last few years, the activity that they seem to remember the most is the one that we do in this unit, and we call it the Salty Taste Lab. So what we do is we create the salt consistency for some of the saltiest bodies of water on the earth, and we go around and we give them a little kind of like a little shot of it, a little squirt, and they all, they have to taste test it. And so, of course, things like the Dead Sea, the Great Salt Lake are really, really salty, and they have to kind of put rankings by which one they think is the saltiest. And so I thought that's a really fun one for them. They always are like, they can't believe how salty some of these bodies of water are around the planet. All right, next slide. Well, that's kind of so the meteorology is weather related, and something I did miss, I guess what I just said is more oceanography related, but it's kind of like hydrology, I guess. But with something that we had just done, and I guess it's been something that we've been kind of experimenting with the last couple of years with meteorology, is having the students be a weather person. And so they'll have I know Miss Hatcher has had them work with a green screen last year. And then this year, of course, we weren't in person. So we worked with Flipgrid. And so they kind of went through and acted like they were weather people, and they recorded themselves, meteorologists. And so they really enjoyed that. So that was cool. Okay. And this is this one, and then the next one are kind of our final units where we kind of wrap up the year, geology and then human impact on the environment. And this is the one where this is where you get the rocks and minerals out, you do rock ID, and they really like that because there's just so many. We have a lot of that in the science department. So this is an area where they get to be more hands-on and touch things and manipulate things. Okay. Did anything you want to add, Miss Coker, Ms. Hatcher?
No, I think you did a great job. I just wanted to add, kind of like what Ms. Hurt said earlier, we've really been able to hone our virtual skills. And I think that next year is going to be awesome. weren't able to do as many hands-on activities this year due to it being virtual, but I think the opportunity to really dive into lessons virtually will be awesome for next year to merge the hands-on and the virtual activities we've come up with.
You guys did a great job. They said it all.
I'm Maggie Edson, and I am a proud member of the Social Studies 6 team at David T. Howard Middle School.
Hi, everybody. I'm now Mrs. Reed, used to be Mrs. Gibson, and I am 6'4" social studies teacher.
Good morning, y'all. I'm Patrick Darty. I'm the social studies teacher for team 6-2.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mr. Taylor, Jimmy Taylor, teacher on 6-3.
Next slide, please. The Social Studies 6 team is one of the best things in my life. We are completely different in our approach. We think of teaching in completely different ways, and that's so enriching for each of us in our individual teaching practice. We run our classes in completely different ways, but we all end up at the exact same place on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. We use the same assessments, the same homework. We teach the same thing at the same time in 4 completely different ways, according to the avatar of the historical personality that we reflect in our daily life. Next slide, please. In 6th grade social studies, we study Europe, Canada, Latin America, Australia. In 7th grade social studies, they study Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. And in 8th grade social studies, they study the state of Georgia. So the world is divided into parts for your middle school social studies curriculum. By the end of 8th grade, they really know what's going on in the world. Next slide, please. We study geography, which is how does place shape events. And we study history, which is how do events connect over time. And a skill that we really emphasize is not looking for the proximate cause, but looking for the remote cause of historical events. What caused a certain event to happen isn't what happened the day before. Sometimes it's what happened 100 years before. And so looking in a very sophisticated way at the remote causes of historical events is something we really emphasize in our curriculum. We study government. How do groups of people make decisions together? And we study economics. Resources are limited, time is limited, information is limited. How do we distribute limited resources in the community? These last 2 questions, back. These last 2 questions are of great interest to middle schoolers. Who gets what and who decides? Next slide. Thank you. Our first unit, we read math skills. We are fanatics for geography. Start with geography. Then we go very slowly through Europe to really introduce the strategies we're going to be learning. We study in great detail, and we're especially proud of the way that we organize this information to emphasize the cultures of Native people before the arrival of the Europeans. We don't start Latin American history when the Europeans show up. We started 5,000 years earlier. Next slide, please. We return to Europe to do a walk through the great armed conflicts of the 20th century. And then we do a very meticulous study of economics, because in 7th grade, then they draw on the work that we've done in 6th grade. These last few weeks, when do you use GDP? When do you use per capita GDP? Very technical work using the World Factbook, using statistics to compare countries. And then our final unit is Canada and Australia. Next slide, please. We all teach the exact same thing in completely different ways. And every single thing we have the students do, we make ourselves at David T. Howard Middle School. We don't use any textbooks. We don't use any canned curriculum at all. We make up everything we do. And you should come to our team meetings and hear us obsess about the wording of a question on a quiz. We can spend a half an hour on it trying to get it exactly right. We write and create everything we use in our classrooms. My team, I love so much because we're always asking questions, always learning about the world. Last night, I discovered something. I've taught this for 10 years. and I'm always finding out new things from my teammates. So we are very interested in infecting our students with this joy in learning about the world. Thank you very much.
All right, welcome to our phenomenal Connections group. I'm Coach Abernathy. I am the Connections lead. Listed below are our offerings for Connections. I will allow each person to introduce themselves as we pass through their slides so they can give you a little bit more detail about the class. We may have a couple Connections teachers missing today, but we will fill in any questions that are needed for those classes. I am a part of the PE and Health Department. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I am so sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to there was a question in the chat that I wanted to just quickly touch on before we dove into Connections.
Oh, okay.
The question was, are we going to go over the Connections request form? And I did want to just quickly touch on that. The connection request form was sent out to your elementary school counselors to distribute to your elementary school teachers. We also do have it posted on our school website, and I've dropped the link in the YouTube live chat where you can access it on our school website as well, and I will send that again. We just ask that Connections request form is due by April 16th. We are already starting scheduling for next year, and so we need to get those in ASAP. If you have any specific questions about really anything, you are always welcome to email me, but I do believe we will go over Connections in depth during this session. As long as you get that Connections request form in by April 16th, you should be good to go. And I will pass it back to you, Coach. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Schultz. Thank you for that. And I saw that there was labeled at the bottom, the forms are due by April 16th. So I will allow each teacher to introduce themselves as they go over their class in detail on their slides, and I will fill in with anyone that we're missing at the end. Next slide.
Muted. Hello, everyone. Salawete, hola, bonjour, ciao. My name is Will Hunter. I am the Latin teacher. We also have Mrs. Logsden, who is Spanish teacher, and Dr. Bryant, who is our French teacher. I'm representing all of us today. Next year for sixth grade languages, we are trying something new. It will be a semester-long class within which the students will rotate every 6 weeks so that they're not studying one language for 18 weeks. They are getting a taste of all three of our language offerings. This is an important choice because one of their choices they will have registering for 7th grade a year from now will be the opportunity to select a language to take over 7th and 8th grade, which will earn them a year of high school credit. So they will go into 9th grade with first year finished and ready for second year, and then that would complete their high school requirement for Atlanta Public Schools graduation. I know you didn't log in today as a 5th grade parent to talk about graduating from high school, but it'll be here before you know it. In each of the mini classes, so they'll rotate between Latin, French, and Spanish. Within each of the classes, they will really get a nice sampling of the language, the culture of its speakers, through many and various activities and topics. And so, again, the goal is to get ready for making an informed decision if they do decide to pursue a language over 7th and 8th grade.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ms. Cannon, and I teach the career awareness class. In this class, we kind of go over what their interests are as students, and then what kind of careers or what pathway they would be interested in the future after high school. So in this course, students will be able to analyze personal characteristics and apply these to their career planning process.
Okay, sorry, I was muted. Hi, my name is Kelly Shields. I am the orchestra director at Howard. We do have 2 classes of orchestra per grade level. So there are 2 classes of orchestra for 6th grade on an A and B schedule. We go over the core instrument for orchestra, which is violin, viola, cello, and double bass. So we have 3 levels of orchestra for performing groups, and that is beginning orchestra, intermediate orchestra, and advanced orchestra. So 6th graders are actually offered to be in any of the performing levels of orchestra as long as they have the skill and knowledge. So for beginning orchestra, we definitely are welcoming students that have little to no playing experience. So if you have a student that just is looking for a place, and the 6th grade is typically where students are kind of delving into becoming who they are and things like that. So some of my brightest students are students that begin in 6th grade. So we definitely welcome students that have never played an instrument before. And the beginning group focuses primarily on the fundamentals of orchestra as well as our skill sets for technique. For orchestra overall, it's definitely a creative space for students. They get the chance to collaborate with other students in ways where they haven't in the past. They play in duets and quartets. They get the experience to be able to collaborate with me in selecting, being involved in the selecting process for our repertoire. So we have played everything from, of course, Bach and Beethoven, because we're rooted in classical music, but we've also played Billie Eilish and Katy Perry, Queen, and the Beatles. So we have a very multifaceted group for orchestra. And so we definitely invite that for the students. We work definitely with the ASO. We work closely with Atlanta Symphony Orchestra and Emory University, where they come in and work with our students during the year. We also have several students involved in the Atlanta Music Project. We have about 25 students that have been nominated for APS Honor Orchestra, which is going on right now. Metropolitan Symphony Orchestra, and also winners of chairs in All-State Orchestra. So very proud of the orchestra program here. And we're definitely welcoming for students for next year. So hope to see your students next year. Oh, I pretty much gave all of that.
Hi, good morning, 6th grade parents and friends. And my name is Liz Hill, and I'm the choral director here at Howard Middle School. So happy to be with you this morning to chat a little bit about our choral department and hopefully answer any questions that you guys might have. Chorus at David T. Howard is a year-long program that students can select on the Connections choice sheet that Ms. Schultz referred to earlier. This is a little bit about our program and kind of our objectives and what we cover in a year, which is the basics for all of my grade levels. We just kind of go at it at a little bit different pace from year to year. Chorus is definitely open to students that have never sung before in elementary school, in the specific choral programs that I know our 4 elementaries have. But I am well aware of how lucky we are to have such amazing music educators at all 4 of our elementary schools. And we are so excited to always welcome in new talent and also foster in some new skills for those students that have had chorus before. So I do work closely with our 4 music teachers at the elementary level to get names of those students who have done chorus before, so we can make sure that they stay on track if they still want to continue with their singing in middle school, so we don't lose anybody. So while the connection sheets and selections are definitely important, I also do make sure to contact those teachers to make sure we're not missing anybody. But there are 2 classes offered for 6th grade chorus. They are both the exact same level, and many times we sing the exact same songs together. We just operate in 2 different classes. This is kind of a breakdown of the things that we work on in a day rehearsal. So they are going to be meeting on an A-B schedule next year to kind of recoup some time with their classes during advisory. This is kind of a new thing for us, but we will be operating on an A-B schedule next year. We do work on vocal warm-ups each day, breathing exercises, sight reading, which is really like a definite thing that they need to learn for LGPE, which stands for Large Group Performance Evaluation. So that's something that all of our music programs participate in when things are normal and we're not in a virtual setting. But that is kind of our end of course test, if you will, for our music ensembles. So sight reading is part of that assessment for them that they do as a group. We do work on music theory with a great online program called Breezing Through Theory that the kids have really loved and been able to dive into more that were virtual. Always solo and group opportunities are given for those students that want to step away from the group and have a little bit of time in the spotlight. I always love giving those opportunities to the kids. And as you can see below, the different grade levels and kind of the songs that they were able to work on this year, which are by far not as many as we usually cover, but we have been able to do some virtual performances, which I'm very excited about the spring ones coming up because they're a little bit more pop oriented. The students always have a voice in what they choose to sing, which makes them a little bit more invested in their performances and makes things a little bit easier on my end to get them motivated to sing, but always with guidance from me on what choices to make with that. And let's see, I think I had one more in there. There's our chorus website. If you're interested, there are performances there on our YouTube link on that website. So you can catch up on any virtual performances that maybe you haven't been able to see if you're interested. I know chorus has been definitely different from how we usually operate in a normal year, but we are doing our best to still keep the students singing as much as possible and providing them those performance opportunities that they've been missing. But we are very anxious to see where things are going to lead for next year with what we can do performance-wise and rehearsal-wise back in the classroom. But it's been great seeing the students that have come back face-to-face. And I think there's one more slide. There we go. And extra opportunities offered. We love to take the students to the Fox Theater to see Broadway performances. They always learn so much from those events and those opportunities outside of school. As I mentioned before, LGPE, All-State Chorus, which was canceled this year. And we usually have students audition for that event, which is a statewide event. Honor Chorus as well. And then trips, hopefully in the future will be planned again, but we have taken the students to Orlando. And we did have plans to go to New York City this past winter, and that all got canceled. But we are very anxious to get our students out and traveling again and performing again. So I'm very excited to meet your students next year, and please let us know if you have questions.
Hey everybody, my name is Mandy Leibowitz. I am the visual art teacher at Howard Middle School. I put a little slide up just showing a few changes that I would have made to the school if I was in charge of design. I'm kidding. So I just want to give you a brief tour of what visual art is like at Howard. Obviously, there have been some changes to the curriculum to meet us where we are this year with all of our challenges. Art will be semester long next year, same with the AB schedule. And the topics listed here on this slide really are just a taste of what we do in art. There is a nice balance and flow to how the weeks roll out. There is a lot more focus now on using technology and creating some really interesting technology, photography, digital film-based lessons, but also giving that balance of tactile materials, sketching, and hopefully next year we'll dive back into painting and sculpture. and just having that flow continue so that they get a real balance of everything. But it's all just really for striving to create very active, engaged participants. I'm lucky enough to see almost all of your students, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. The idea that we want them to have a voice, we want them to feel confidence in what they are creating. And the art program is designed to meet every single skill level. And I know you've heard that from a lot of your teachers today, that we will meet every single skill level. And it's really focused. It's amazing to see students who leave elementary school. I don't know if you've seen any of it yet, where they're like, I'm not really good at art anymore. I can't create. So drawing is for other people who are good at it. This is not about skills. It's about engagement in the creative process, creating lifelong critical thinkers who know how to be creative in any situation, solve any problem in multiple ways that really can reach into any subject that they encounter in school for the rest of their lives. So thank you so much. I cannot wait to meet your students. I will hop onto the YouTube chat. If you have any questions for me about art, I'll be happy to answer them there. Thanks so much.
Greetings. Hey, I'm Mr. Baker. I'm super excited to be here this morning with y'all. I am I guess, the new old guy to the bunch. It's our first year having dance at Inman, but I'm the old guy because my first job was at Inman Middle School. So I'm back full circle. Really happy to be here at Howard teaching dance and dance film. I fell in love with all things STEAM. So at my other spot, then I came here and decided, hey, this is a virtual new hybrid, brand new way to do this. Let's focus on each individual student and their engagement. Let's focus on their voice, their choice. What do they want to say? How can they dance their story? So I've done my research and saw how the students all love TikTok videos. They love doing these kind of things that are very social media-esque. So I'm like, how can we take their interest, and transform that into something that's a creative, meaningful thing, a product that they can do? And so dance film just fit perfectly. So in dance film, it is a semester-long course. We break it up into 2 9-week sessions. And the first 9-week sessions, we really focus on learning dance routines, learning body awareness pretty much. Because, sometimes they just don't know how to stand and what is our spacing. So basically things that dancers will learn. We learn choreography, we learn how to choreograph, we learn positions, we learn very little technique terms, only because in a hybrid, I'm super concerned about floors. And for my folks who are dancers, you know what I'm talking about. Like, are we doing a triple turn and how are you spotting? Those are things that you really need to be together face to face to teach them that correctly. So with dance film, it allows them that exploration and that ability to add their own kind of, we call it your own sauce, is what we call it in class. Add your own sauce to it. And so they always do, and they always rise, and they're super creative. They collaborate with each other. And by the second 9 weeks, we break up into teams. So the students, because I'm with Ms. Lebo. We are lucky enough to get a plethora of students and different diverse groups of students. But what I've noticed is that half of them will end up falling into like, hey, I want to do more production and film side of it. The other half will be, I want to dance. Well, I want to do this. Perfect marriage right there. So by the second 9 weeks, they're working in teams where one is deciding, hey, this is how we're going to shoot. This is what we're going to do. And another one's deciding, here are the moves we're going to do. And here's how it's going to look. So they put it all together, and voila, we have dance film. So, and I end up teaching them film techniques. I taught film at my last school, film and theater. So I have that in my knapsack as well, but they end up teaching each other and working together. Pretty much there is no wrong answer in dance. It's just, how are you expressing yourself? So I did want to include one of their dance films from last semester. These are 2 6th graders that submitted their thing in January. So if they're able to watch that video, the presentation just went away.
It's coming up.
Okay. Is there sound with it?
I apologize. There is sound with it. I'm trying to figure out how to get the sound to come through to you guys. I apologize.
When you touch the screen, if you hit share sound, it works.
It says I'm sharing my screen, and then where does it say share sound, Miss Jost?
when you click share screen, it says share computer sound as well. So if you check that box, then it works.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Thank you, everybody. Okay, we'll try one more time and let me know if you don't hear it.
Yep. And that's us. That's what we do in dance film. So I'm looking forward to having your students take part in this experience with us next semester or next year.
Good morning, everyone. Let me see if I can go behind that, Mr. Baker. I am Mrs. Pryor. I am the band director here at Howard Middle School, and it's such a pleasure to be here with you this morning. Just want to give you just some information in regards to band and what we do at Howard. So for band is a year-long course, and we can move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So band is a year-long course, and there is no experience necessary. I know some students, they have been playing in band since the 4th or 5th grade, and we do acknowledge that, and we definitely put each student on their individual track of where they should be. The instruments that we do in band are flute, oboe, clarinet, alto saxophone and tenor saxophone, trumpet, trombone, baritone, euphonium, tuba, and percussion. If a student plays percussion, they must be able to do both snare drum and melodics. We do have various performance opportunities throughout the year. We perform a variety of music, and in band, you learn a lot of lifelong skills. And I would say that private lessons are encouraged. They're not necessary, but they are encouraged because private lessons provide that opportunity for students to be able to get that one-on-one instruction every week with an instructor. And if you need some information about where you can get some private lessons from, I'll be happy to give those to you. And just wanted to share with you just some accomplishments that we have had Since we have been almost fully virtual this year, band has still had a lot of great things happening. We are home to the second, third, and fourth chair all-state flute players in the state of Georgia this year. We've had 6 participants in District 5 Honor Band. We have 18 students who are participating in Atlanta Public Schools Honor Band, which we have a partnership with the Navy Band this year. And the students will have the opportunity to be able to have master classes with those U.S. Navy Band musicians. We also had one student who was selected as a winner of the Georgia Music Educators Composition Competition this year. And we were also featured on CBS News a couple of weeks ago. And this particular segment talked about all of the safety regulations that we are adhering to for with having COVID-19 situations happening. And this is a great way for you to know that there are a lot of safety guidelines that we are meeting in order to make sure that everyone is safe in the band room. And again, if you have any questions, please let me know. We would love to have your student to be a part of the band. Thank you.
Good morning. Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah, here's a little.
Students read inefficiently. You may notice students in your classroom who become frustrated or exhausted while reading. Let Reading Plus help. Reading Plus is an adaptive literacy program for students in grades 3 through 12. By helping students improve reading efficiency, the program rapidly accelerates reading growth and develops lifelong readers. Reading Plus is an evidence-based program that has been evaluated by multiple well-respected educational organizations. The program provides significant results for students of all backgrounds. Whether students are using the program in the classroom or at home, they can gain up to 2.5 years of growth in just one school year. Educators benefit from embedded professional development and actionable data-driven reports, while students enjoy a personalized and adaptive experience with thousands of diverse and engaging texts that reflect their interests. And the built-in parent portal helps parents and guardians support their children at home and guide them through the program. Ready to learn more? Visit readingplus.com.
And good morning, parents and colleagues. I'm Dr. Warner, and I teach reading skills, and our second reading skills teacher is Ms. Varner. What we do is we collaborate together and strive for our students to acquire a love from reading, okay? Reading Plus also develops comprehension, fluency, and vocabulary. And our reading levels range from below first grade all the way to 12th grade. We would love to have your students. And again, I'm Dr. Warner, along with Ms. Varner.
Can we hold it on this slide just for a second and allow Ms. Varner to talk specifically about ESOL?
Okay.
Okay, sure. I actually inserted another slide, but I'll talk now. No problem. So I just wanted to reiterate the power of that reading program. The ESOL program is embedded in the reading program. So I service all of the ESOL students in my classes in addition to other students. And that Reading Plus program is phenomenal. I have one student in 6th grade who went from a 2nd grade level this year. It was already grown over 4 years in his reading grade level. So we do a lot of reading, a lot of discussing the elements of the stories that they've read, so that gives them opportunities to practice their speaking. We've also done some projects like find a recipe, read it, bake something, and send in pictures. So we try to get kids excited about all the things they can do with reading. Yo también hablo español y puedo comunicar con los padres hispanohablantes. So one thing that I love about teaching ESOL is that I'm able to communicate and keep those families engaged that may not speak English but do speak Spanish. Unfortunately, I don't speak all the other languages, but I do advocate for our families and our students. And I'm happy to work with your students next year. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Coach Fesahay. I'm one of 3 PE teachers here at Howard Middle School. We also have Coach Abernathy, who's Director of Club Sports and Activities, and also Coach Dion, who's Director of EPS Sports. This upcoming year, PE will be a semester long class. We're also combining PE and health. Students will be involved in physical activities such as basketball, soccer, flag football, ultimate frisbee, badminton, table tennis, and other team sports activities. And that's gonna be determined by safety protocols. As this year, because of COVID, we focused more on personal fitness because team sports just you can't do it because kids are sharing balls and running each other. So we've really focused on team sports. I mean on personal fitness. Uh, Previously, our team sports have been pretty much gone through the sports education model where students hold different roles within a team in order for the team to function. It could be roles such as coach, manager, trainer, and other things like that. We also have had wiffle ball. We've done table tennis. Um, Also, we're going to include health related topics such as nutrition, health triangle, chronic disease, substance abuse, and also current events through New Zealand platform. Um, Next slide, please. Also, we offer a variety of sports and activities through our club sports program, which has a multitude of different activities such as ultimate frisbee, volleyball, um, cross country. We also offer APS sponsored sports such as basketball, softball, track. Because of size issues with sixth graders, they're not allowed to play football in sixth grade, but they're allowed to play football the following year. One of the main things that we want parents to do as soon as possible is to get your kids uh, um, sports physicals so that they are eligible to play as soon as they get in. You don't have to worry about that. Sports physicals can be turned into Coach Dion or Coach Abernathy or even me if need be, but that's the basics of PE department and some of the sports activities that we offer.
All right, so below is our chart for virtual school activities. We have a few different platforms that we post to just to make sure parents and students know and aware of what's going on. So we have a Twitter page, Instagram, and Facebook. And also we have a Google Classroom that we share a lot of those activities with the students. So if you would like to keep up with what's going on currently, we also post things that from chorus and band, anytime they do performances, we post all of those things to social media just so everybody is aware of what's going on. So one class that we did miss was JLC. Sergeant Phelps is new with us this year. And JLC is basically a junior ROTC course where they work on a lot of leadership skills. So that is one additional class that was not covered with us today.
And we also have Dr. Krim with us for science skills. Dr. Krim, if you wanted to just share a quick word about that course.
Thank you, Ms. Schultz. I'm Dr. Sharon Krim, and I have the pleasure and honor to teach science skills. And this is a class that is based in STEM, and we focus primarily on the engineering portion, as well as doing forensic science. And we have students, create products that are solving real world problems. And we usually have a turnaround time for each one of these projects, usually around every 2 weeks. And an example of these projects is the egg drop, in which this is simulating where students wear helmets and are dealing with sports and how they can support any type of collisions. And currently we're working on a project Save the Ocean, in which students are going to create a prototype of cleaning up the microplastics and plastics in rivers and oceans. And so I look forward to working with your students next year. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Krim. I appreciate everyone being here. So at this time, we actually do have our special education lead teacher, Ms. Asha Hall Washington here, if she wanted to say a few words.
Morning. As Michelle stated, I am Asha Hall Washington. I'm the special education lead teacher here at Howard. For those of you that have students in our department that will be coming over, you can reach out to your grade level CELTs. We've already scheduled dates and we do have available time slots for 6th grade rising transition meetings. And so what that is, it's a one-on-one meeting with me, that CELT, and then you, where we will go through the services your child currently receives and services that they will receive in 6th grade year. And I will answer any additional questions you have. As we know, sometimes that transition from 5th to 6th grade can be a little stressful when you have a lot of questions. So again, reach out to your elementary CELTs, special education lead teachers. They do have those times and dates available. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much. I want to thank everyone for being here, all of our teachers, all of the parents. We so appreciate you taking the time to join us this morning. And we want to just recognize and own that we know that the transition to middle school can be stressful in and of itself, let alone doing it virtually and after a year of virtual learning. So we are constantly innovating and trying to find ways to make sure that all of our students are supported individually, because we recognize that this is such a unique experience for each of our students. If we did not touch one of your questions in the chat, I will make sure that all of the questions that have been asked are followed up with. I do know that there has been a little bit of confusion about the connections request form. Just to re-emphasize, it was sent to your elementary school counselors to distribute to the 5th grade teachers. We also do have it on our school website under the Rising 6th grade tab. And I will again send that out to our elementary schools. That is due April 16th. And as always, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach me via email or any of our 6th grade leadership team. And if no one else had anything else they needed to say, I want to thank everyone for being here with us.